Hello and welcome to the Overgame podcast. I'm your host, Andrew David, and right off the bat, I want to warn you that this is the kind of podcast where I talk about everything and mostly nothing. Despite me talking over some gameplay footage, this isn't really a gameplay podcast. I don't talk about games. I mean, I could talk about games, but the essential concept of this is I have a bunch of gameplay footage in my archives from my past live streams, and I don't have anything to do with them. I thought I'd record them just in case I wanted to review the games or do something with it, but I figured if I'm playing a game, I don't want to talk over it, I don't want to think about things to say, I just want to enjoy the game itself, so I'll just live stream the pure gameplay from my PlayStation directly to my Twitch account, which is twitch.tv/AndrewDavidJ, by the way, and I take all that live stream footage and I put it on my YouTube channel for people to watch. There's nothing, I don't talk over them or anything, so this podcast is basically me doing that, me taking that footage, talking over it, maybe talking about the game itself, but mostly just talking about whatever I feel like. This is the kind of thing you want to put in the background when you're doing work or studying or cooking or cleaning or, I don't know, sleeping, I suppose. If you're asleep, I might talk a little loudly, so just lower the volume a little bit. So here we go. I'm watching this footage. Oh, and for those of you tuning in on an audio-only platform, don't worry about it. You don't need to be watching the gameplay footage. It's up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, but it's not important at all. I'm not going to be commenting directly on the footage itself. It's just there to have something to look at, I suppose, if you're listening to this on YouTube. So I specifically chose Burnout as my first game, I suppose, because I have a lot of really fond and fun memories with the franchise specifically. Burnout Paradise, I did have a lot of fun playing back on the PlayStation 3, but the one that I did play the most was definitely Burnout 3, mostly because it had a lot of good music, and the crashes were, whoa, insane, and back then I was a skater, and all my skate friends used to play this game with me, so we had that, like, very kind of punkish, anarchist attitude, and this game, along with a couple others like Tony Hawk series and Guitar Hero, would fit perfectly in our kind of lifestyle, I suppose. Yeah, Burnout Paradise introduced a lot of really interesting new mechanics, like the open world, which was very fun, specifically because of the lack of fast travel, which would force you to explore and find all the shortcuts so that you can figure out faster ways of reaching your destination as you go. And on the way, as you discover shortcuts, you'd find things to smash, jumps to accomplish, new challenges, and a lot of really fun little additions that I think a lot of open world or sandbox games don't do well enough. So if you haven't played Burnout Paradise and you like racing games, I highly recommend you give that one a shot. It was recently re-released on the PS4 with all its DLC included, so that's a lot of really good content, especially considering it's sold at a very cheap price. Yeah, so this is the first podcast, the first thing I ever record, actually. I do have a couple videos on my YouTube channel, but I don't talk extensively in them. They're mostly visual gags. I do stupid comedy skits, I suppose. But the reason I've been... by the way, I've had this idea for a podcast for a very long time. I've never had like a specific subject for the podcast. Sometimes it was like, oh, I should do a movie podcast or a gaming podcast or a podcast where I talk about science or technology or game development, because those are all my passions. But I never went through with it because I'm always, I don't know, I really don't like my voice because of obviously you can tell why I don't like my voice. And the it has always held me back in a way. But I thought this year, let's just do it. I'm just gonna record it. I'm just gonna talk about whatever I feel like talking about. It doesn't really matter. I just have to get it out, get that first episode out, and that'll get the ball rolling. And maybe from that point on, I'll kind of focus it down and make it a little more of what I want it to be as I go. But yeah, so just so you know, what I'm dealing with isn't actually an accent. Excuse me. It's more of a speech impediment where I can't pronounce the letter R. Because I do speak other languages, and in those other languages I don't have this issue because the languages I specifically speak, the R's are rolled, so it's not a problem for me. But I mean, my brothers speak those same languages and they don't have this pseudo accent. My parents don't either. It really is just a me thing. And I know this speech impediment has a specific name. I don't want to bother looking it up. So if you know what it is, post that, I guess, in the comments below. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe, post in the comments. Boy. But yeah, I'm watching myself play. I'm watching the gameplay footage as I record this, by the way. Did my voice just crack? Jeez. You know, you'd swear I'm not 30 years old. So I'm watching this gameplay footage and I'm seeing that I'm really awful at this game. Like, I'm crashing every other minute. It's unbelievable, which is funny because first off, I'm a game developer and a game designer. I've focused on developing challenging experiences my whole life. I've been working as a game development hobbyist since I was 10 before making it into the industry. I own thousands of games. I've played thousands of games. And back when I just left college, I worked at a game testing agency, I suppose, for a year. So I have a lot of experience with video games. And honestly, when I used to play Burnout, I don't think I was bad at it at all. But nowadays, whenever I pick up a game, I'm just so bad at it. And I could play it for hours and I'm having fun. Like, it's not like I'm annoyed or pissed that I'm doing really bad. It's just that I think maybe I'm getting old, so my reflexes aren't on point compared to how I was when I was younger. But I don't know. Either way, whether I'm bad or not, it doesn't really matter to me because I don't play video games for the challenge like a lot of other players do. Like, if there's a hard mode in a game, I'll almost never take that option. Specifically because when I play a video game, to me it's about relaxing, escaping, taking a break. I work really hard all day and I just want to sit down and turn my brain off and just enjoy the pretty colors on the screen, you know? So it's really mostly about just getting to interact with a piece of media and maybe getting a story out of it. I really enjoy games that tell a good story. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people who enjoy challenges in video games. In fact, I have a friend whom I swear I've only seen him play 8 games, and they're all probably the most challenging games out there. And I assume the reason he only plays those is because he really gets a lot of satisfaction out of mastering a video game. Like, when you play that challenge so many times, you become really good at it. And that must be something that's incredibly satisfying that I can never attest to because I've never done so. Yeah. So, I suppose this is my first attempt, like I said, at a podcast, and I have a lot of ideas for this one, aside from me talking about nothing, and maybe one day I'll be talking about specific topics and subjects, but for now, I hope to eventually get some guests, whether they be just random people I know or other podcasters or YouTubers, or even people who were somehow involved in the development of whatever game I happen to be talking over. so I can maybe interview them or talk about the development process in general. I'll get some insight or some behind the scenes sort of stuff. I'm just gonna take a sip of tea. Highly recommended that you drink some tea while listening to this. That's good. So yeah, I suppose I don't want to talk about the game too much, but I do want to mention that despite this game, Burnout Paradise specifically, being on the PlayStation 3, which meant that it had trophies and it appealed to completionists. Despite that, and me not being much of a completionist, I just play a game from start to finish most times, but not always. But I don't go out of my way to get every single thing out of it. But despite it having trophies, I still had a lot of fun just finding all the secrets and all the bonuses and all the little things I could break, the fences and the billboards. And I think the way the game is designed is it makes that really satisfying in a way that it doesn't matter whether or not you get a trophy out of it, because you just really enjoy the experience of doing it, which is fantastic. I really wish there were other games that did that as well as this game did. Yeah. One of the only games I think I've 100%ed is Shovel Knight, which I think is probably my favorite game of all time. So if you haven't checked it out, go do that. On Steam or on PlayStation or Switch. I think it just came out on Switch. But yeah, so either way, this week is the week of Christmas for those of you who celebrate that, I suppose. I don't really, but my parents still do, so I'm gonna go visit my mother for the holidays, as well as some other family members. But I do hope that I'll take that opportunity to film some non-pointless, honestly really pointless nonsense with my brothers, so that I can release another episode of Hanging Out, which, if you haven't seen it on my YouTube channel, I highly recommend you go check it out, because it's probably the dumbest thing you'll ever see. And then please feel free to comment on that video telling me to just, that was so dumb, dude, just stop posting garbage on YouTube. And then unlike it and unsubscribe if you're already subscribed. But yeah, it's but here's the thing though, if I didn't post that initial stupid video, I don't think I ever would have gone ahead and posted some of the other comedy skits, like unbelievably dumb comedy skits that I've been trying to post. And the reason for that is I've always had that stage fright that came associated with my speech impediment. When I was younger, I was always afraid of school plays or reciting poems or anything like that, because having a voice like this is kind of embarrassing. But a lot of people around me, as I got more and more into my career, I suppose, they pushed me to ignore my voice, I suppose, and just do what I have to do and just deal with the embarrassment later, which I think is a great way of approaching it. For me, at least, that's how it's been working. Because as soon as I take that microphone and I talk into it and I hear my own voice coming out of those speakers, I think, oh boy, is this what I sound like? Why am I talking? I should not be talking. People probably hate this. And I mean, maybe it's true, I don't know, but it's the self-conscious sort of mentality of mine. But if, I recorded all that silly footage with my brothers, and my brother put it together into an episode, and he was really proud of it. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna put this on my YouTube channel, and if people find it funny, great. If people hate my voice, then screw it. There's a billion other videos on YouTube. Why does it matter, like, what people think of mine? So I put it on there, And I've been doing a couple videos ever since, and I think that's a really great thing for me because I've been wanting to post things on YouTube for years now, and I could never get past that starting point. So I guess the culmination of this story is, if you want to post some content on YouTube or a podcast or anything, and you have maybe a bizarre accent or a speech impediment, or you're just embarrassed that, I don't know, about anything about yourself, self-conscious, just don't try to create a perfect piece of content, because that'll never happen. Just do the thing, post it online, and then deal with the embarrassment once it's up, and you'll see it won't last that long. Like, you'll be embarrassed for a couple days and then you'll forget about it, and that's that. Now you have something online and you can do more. But if you don't do that, you'll just feel like you're missing out. You'll get that what if question, which is one of the worst feelings. And okay, side note, I'm watching this gameplay footage, and man, I'm attempting a jump, and it's so embarrassing. Like, this is the least interesting action gameplay I've ever seen. Oh boy, I don't know. I shouldn't even be watching this, to be honest. Don't watch this. Just listen to this on iTunes or Spotify, and don't subscribe to my Twitch channel. But yeah, the point is, put your content online, deal with the embarrassment later, and it'll dissipate pretty quick. It'll dissipate faster than dealing with the embarrassment before posting it, because then it's like it's always there. You'll always be thinking that I want to post it, but I'm embarrassed. I want to post it, but I don't like how I sound, and you'll always be self-conscious about it. Yeah, so we're about 17 minutes in, and this video is about 36 minutes. And I'm realizing now that if I want to turn this into a regular podcast, and I'm going to be talking over my archived live stream footage, almost none of my archived episodes are the same length. So they mostly, in fact, 36 minutes is kind of short compared to my other videos. They're all usually between 45 minutes and an hour. I think I have one that's even 2 hours long. So I don't know how I'm going to pull off getting a 30-ish minute podcast out of these. I guess I could just trim them or edit them instead of just taking the raw footage and talking over it. Oh, that was an awful landing. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on YouTube and you missed you're not watching the footage, just go back a couple seconds and watch how awful that jump I just did was. Like, it's such a failure, I don't even try again. I just kind of drive away. Oh boy. But yeah, I don't remember what I was saying. I'm wondering if I should be also recording my own face and putting that on top of the footage or in the corners somewhere. But then I'd be going into kind of commentary territory, and I don't know if I'm really fit for that. But seeing a face on screen, especially if I have a guest, seeing their face on screen maybe might be a little more like relatable. I'm not sure. But for the moment, I'll just do this gameplay footage. And yes, I just remembered what I was talking about. The fact that my videos aren't all the same length. So yeah, I could edit them, or I could just try and live stream 30-minute long gameplay sessions from this point forward and just use those. But the thing is, I have a lot of footage in my archives that I'm doing nothing with, so I'd like to use that. There is that one episode or session, I guess, that's only 15 minutes long, and that's because I was playing Anthem at the time, which, if you don't know Anthem, it's that BioWare's Destiny ripoff, I suppose. I mean, it's not even that good. It's not even, like, I wouldn't say Destiny is like an amazing #1 video game of all time sort of thing, but, you know, if to you Destiny is bad, then imagine Anthem being even worse than that. And so I was playing that, and it was my third live stream session playing this game. And I think the game crashed, or it kicked me out of the mission 15 minutes in, and I just kind of gave up and ended the live stream and was just like, screw it, I'm not playing this game. And I don't think I've continued playing the game since, actually. I think that was... I've heard they're doing a massive like overhaul patch, and... Ooh, that was my voice cracking again. Let's sip some tea. Almost choked on that. But yeah, I've heard they're doing an overhaul, so I'm looking forward to trying that out. Maybe it gets good. I don't know. I mean, I don't really trust EA with BioWare anymore ever since everything, to be honest. Like, I don't... ever since the acquisition, BioWare has been mostly bad. But who am I to judge, I suppose? It's all subjective. So yeah, 21 minutes into this podcast, watching myself fail at jumps and at driving in a video game in general. And I'm honestly completely out of things to talk about. To be honest, it's not like I planned any specific topics or subjects. I just kind of put the gameplay footage on and loaded up Audition, which is what I used to record myself, and just kind of pressed record and just started talking whatever comes to mind. Let's do this. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. This is what I'm doing. I'm just, whatever ends up happening with this podcast, it's going online, and if it's bad, it's bad. I'm sure I can improve it as I go, but whatever. Let's just deal with it. I suppose I could talk a little bit, blah blah. Give you some insights, not insights, as if I worked on this game. I'll give you some trivia about Burnout Paradise, at least the stuff that I know. Let's see. There's a radio announcer in this game. I don't know if you hear him once in a while. He chimes in the background in the gameplay footage. But there's one point where he mentions that there used to be an airport in the game, in the map, and it was gone due to a storm or a freak accident or something, I'm not sure, and it sunk. And that's actually a direct reference to the beta map, because this game was, like, when it was still under development and beta testers were testing it, there was a lot of leaking about the game's world map, and there used to be an airport, and then I guess it was cut off for the final version of the game and it's no longer there, but they still reference it, which is funny. I love when game developers do that. Actually, not just game developers, just media in general. It's always entertaining to see them reference their own past or their own mistakes or stuff like that, things that were cut. Boy, and what else? So I did mention that I used to skate, and this Burnout 3 at least was one of the games that we used to play a lot with my skate gang or crew or whatever. I mean, whatever we call ourselves. And the reason for that was because of the music. So we had that one friend who was he was the only one out of all of us who was less into metal and punk and more into EDM and hip hop and rap and stuff like that. And every time we'd be playing Burnout at my place or at anyone's place, but specifically at my place is when it irritated me, because we'd load up the game on my save file. He'd go into the options, because you could go into the options and enable and disable what songs you wanted to hear in the game. And he'd go in the options, disable all the metal tracks, and re-enable all the hip-hop and rap and pop and EDM, which is all the stuff I don't like listening to, just so that he could play. And it was so frustrating, because I'd have to go back in and undo everything he's done, because he'd save the game on my save file, and those would the settings that I'd have to deal with. And I don't know, I suppose it's not really an interesting story. It's not really an interesting story to tell, but it's just something that I clearly, specifically remember dealing with when it came to playing Burnout with my friends. You know, that also reminds me of playing Guitar Hero. When I was younger on the PS2, I had Guitar Hero, but I did not own the guitar itself. So I'd play with the controller, and I'd get really good at playing with it. I suppose for some context, the way it works is the shoulder buttons are the 4 first keys, and then the X button is the 5th note in Guitar Hero. So you'd play with mostly the shoulder buttons, and every once in a while you'd tap the X. And I'd get so good at it, I could play like the hardest songs on hard, or at least on medium. But yeah, and I actually had no idea that the game came with a guitar, because I guess I bought my copy of Guitar Hero at I think it was a Virgin Megastore is what it was. I don't think those exist anymore. Virgin being the like the airport and cell phone company. I don't know what else they do. And yeah, and it didn't come with guitar, it was just a game. And I guess I never really saw commercials for the game or anything, so I didn't know it came with a plastic guitar. And I got really good at playing with it with a controller. And then when I went to college, and there was a Guitar Hero 2 and Rock Band, I think, my roommate had the guitar, and I was like, whoa, that's so cool. What, like, is this like is this like a custom like peripheral for the game? And he's like, no man, this comes with the game. This is like how you're supposed to play it. And I'm like, what? So I've been playing this whole time, I've been playing the game wrong. So I'm like, I'm really good at Guitar Hero. I really want to play. So I'd play my roommate's copy, and I'd be awful at it just because I don't know how to use the buttons and the switch on the guitar peripheral. So they never believed that I was good at it, and for some reason I never thought about just plugging in a PlayStation 2 controller and showing them that I'm good at it with the controller until many years later. Like, we were out of college already, we're still friends. I've been working in the industry, and then one night I was out of Montreal at the time, but one night I was back in Montreal visiting my family, and I went to see my friend, and he was playing Guitar Hero 3, I think. And I plugged the controller in, and I played it with the buttons, and he was like, whoa dude, you're amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I know, do you remember when I used to tell you this in college? It's because I meant I was good with the controllers, not with this guitar that I still to this day I'm not really that good at using. But yeah, game related memories, I suppose. So let's see, what boy, 28 minutes in, and I'm kind of out of things to say. I don't know, this is, like I said, this is my first attempt, so I didn't really plan any specific subjects. I didn't want to date this episode by talking about relevant news or recent media, talk about whatever's coming out, or whatever's happening, in politics or whatever. I hope you don't mind me burping on the podcast. If this bothers you, please let me know in the I should stop saying that. Just, if this bothers you, I'm sorry, I'll try and not do it. Oh, you know what? I think I went on a tangent. Tangent. I'm just gonna say tangent. If this annoys you, let me know in the comments. I think I went on a tangent when I was talking about the holidays, about filming. Yes, that's right. About filming a hanging out episode, which you should go watch on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/AndrewDavidJ. But yeah, it's I suppose I don't have any stories to tell you about my holidays, even though I'm posting this after the holidays. I'm actually recording it in the past, so I don't I don't know why I brought this back up, because I don't have anything specific to mention. I guess I just remembered that I went on a tangent and I thought I should go back to the previous point because maybe I'd have something to say, and then it's already too late when I realized that I actually had nothing to say. I was too deep in. There's no way out. So let's just change. You know, I keep moving away from my mic. This is gonna be a nightmare to equalize. I don't know. We'll see. I also don't have my pop filter yet, so you're probably gonna be hearing a lot of hisses and pops. But yeah, let's take another sip of tea to buy myself some time because I have nothing to say. Okay, so there's about 5 minutes left on this podcast, so I suppose I could start wrapping up. It might be too soon to wrap up, but let's just get some of the basics out of the way. Like, I'm really open to feedback for this podcast. I have a lot of ideas that I have not shared with you yet because I'm still kind of developing them, and I'm not sure which ones I'll be doing, which ones I won't. But there is another podcast I'm also planning that's specifically about the way things work, like explaining things to people, like the children, basically, like really complex technology-related things. But this is another different thing. It's not going to be affecting this one. But yeah, so I'm really open to feedback. Please let me know if there's some way I can improve this, or if there's specific subjects or topics I should be talking about. Things, anything that comes to mind. Sorry, just let me know. I'm really open to making this really interesting, or at least fun to listen to as background noise. Like I just wanna chat. I just wanna hang out, chat, say whatever's on my mind, and listening to what you all have to say in return, and start conversations in general. So I'm hoping that I'll say some stuff, maybe mention one or two things that are like conversation starters. Like I talked about my speech impediment. I also talked about posting content online and getting past the initial point. So these are conversation starters. So I'd love it if you could contribute to the conversation by replying to me in the comments on YouTube, or maybe just tweet at me. I'm at Andrew David J. I'm also on Instagram at Andrew David, but I don't know, I guess people can DM me. I'm not sure how that works. But yeah, just let me know. And I'm watching the gameplay footage, and I'm seeing that I finally started my first race, which is hilarious because I've been playing this game for 30 minutes now, over 30 minutes, and this is my very first in-game race, which is just, I guess, a point on how fun this just exploring the world of Burnout Paradise is. It took me so long to get to the actual gameplay of the game, just because I was having a lot of fun exploring and smashing into fences and crashing my car, which is great. I wish other sandbox games like GTA or Saints Row or Far Cry or whatever handled that as well as Burnout Paradise did, which is funny because this is supposed to be a driving game. Like, it's a driving game first and a sandbox game second, yet I feel like it does the sandbox thing better than most games that are sandbox games first, which is really funny to me. And but yeah, back to the wrap up. As I was saying, I'm open to feedback. I'd love to start conversations, and if you're listening to this and you're, I guess, a YouTuber, or you live stream video games and you want to chat with me, I'd love to. Just, message me on Twitter, and we can arrange a way to join our forces into one episode where you can be the guest. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in. I hope my voice wasn't too annoying I hope you enjoyed having me as today's background noise. I know that I enjoy having other people talk as my background noise when I work, even when I sleep. Some of the ones I recommend are Super Mega, really, really funny guys. The Gus and Eddie podcast as well. Great stuff, highly recommended. I don't know why I'm advertising other people when I'm having troubles getting people to come to me in the first place. Like, this podcast will probably get like 17 listens, but I don't know, maybe in the future, once I have freaking 60 episodes and finally more than 10 people are watching or listening to me, they can go back and listen to the first episode and find out about Super Mega or Gus and Eddie if they don't already know them. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in. This was a lot of fun for me. I enjoyed just talking about nothing, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So yeah, have a good night or a good day or happy holidays or happy new year or whatever whenever I post this. Bye!